Imagine a killer so bold, so confident, that after each murder, he taunted the police with letters, daring them to catch him. A man who played games with the authorities, sending cryptic codes that still remain unsolved decades later. This is the chilling story of the Zodiac Killer, one of the most infamous and elusive murderers in American history, who left a trail of fear across Northern California in the late 1960s. It all began in December 1968 on a quiet stretch of Lake Herman Road when two high school sweethearts, David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen, were found brutally murdered in their car. They had been doing what most teenagers did, parking in a secluded area for privacy, when a man approached and gunned them down. No motive, no robbery, just two lives senselessly taken. The police had no clues, no suspects, and no idea who could commit such a horrific crime. But the Zodiac was far from done. Just 7 months later, on July 4, 1969, he struck again. This time, the victims were Michael Mageau and Darlene Farron, parked in a quiet spot in Vallejo. A man walked up to their car and shot them both. Michael survived the attack, giving the police a brief description. A white male, stocky and dressed in dark clothing. But before the police could investigate further, the killer called them directly from a payphone. He confessed to the crime and even took credit for the earlier Lake Herman Road murders. He wasn't just killing for the thrill. He wanted the world to know. Days later, letters arrived at local newspapers, including the San Francisco Chronicle. The killer now identified himself as the Zodiac, signing his letters with a strange crosshair symbol and sending cryptograms, puzzles he challenged the public and the police to solve. While some codes were cracked, 2 of them remain unsolved to this day, keeping amateur sleuths and professional cryptographers alike scratching their heads. The Zodiac's attacks didn't stop there. On September 27, 1969, he approached Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard as they relaxed near Lake Berryessa. Wearing a black hood with his signature symbol on the chest, the Zodiac tied them up before repeatedly stabbing them. Before leaving, he wrote a chilling message on Brian's car door, listing his previous murders and once again signing it with his signature symbol. Tragically, Cecilia died from her injuries, but Brian survived, giving the police even more insight into the killer's tactics. Then, 2 weeks later, the Zodiac claimed his final confirmed victim. Paul Stein, a San Francisco cab driver, was shot in the back of the head while driving a fare in the Presidio Heights neighborhood. This time, the Zodiac took a trophy, a piece of Paul's bloody shirt, which he later mailed to the San Francisco Chronicle, along with more taunting letters and a new cipher. Witnesses described seeing a man leave the scene, and the police quickly drew up a composite sketch. But despite being so close, the Zodiac slipped through their fingers once again. The police were desperate to catch him. They gathered fingerprints, collected handwriting samples, and questioned hundreds of suspects, but nothing stuck. The strongest suspect, Arthur Lee Allen, matched many aspects of the Zodiac's profile, but no definitive evidence ever tied him directly to the murders. When Allen died in 1992, he took with him the answers to one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in history. Over time, the Zodiac's letters became more sporadic, but the fear he instilled never disappeared. His last confirmed letter was sent in 1974, but the case has never been officially closed. Even today, the Zodiac Killer remains one of the most enduring mysteries in true crime history, and his cryptic ciphers continue to haunt investigators and amateur detectives alike. More than 50 years later, we're still left asking, who was the Zodiac Killer, and why was he never caught? Thanks for sticking around. Hit like and subscribe, and let's keep the stories rolling at Talescape.